Hello and welcome to another week of Colganology and these miscellaneous meanders. 5 days of me fulminating at helicopters and low-flying aircraft, and oh look at that sky, it looks like my hat's on fire. I'm going to try something different today. I've got a telephoto lens I bought for my phone. It's a clip-on one, and I'm going to see if any deer are around because I might be able to get some better photographs. I mean, I've been very pleased with the clip-on macro lens I use for the close-up photography, so who knows, maybe a clip-on telephoto is good too. Who knows, I may even get a photograph of one of those elusive jays that always stay just sufficiently far away you can't get a decent photograph. Hang on, yeah. They're right over there by the fence. 3 of them. Let's get the lens put on, and if they're still there I might get an image. Well, I'll tell you what, this is definitely a job for a tripod. I'm trying to keep as still as I possibly can while I look at these deer. But I'll tell you, the zoom works at least. They're quite clear. Well, they're clear to me. Don't know if I can get the focus any better. That's probably about the best I can get at this distance. Clearly the phone's already on zoom as well. But my god, I need to put this on a tripod. That's going to do your eyes in watching this. Well, there you go, first attempt. It wasn't great, was it? But I don't know that that's the fault of the actual lens, because it's very well made. It's heavy, it's all metal. I expected it to be cheap and plastic for under a tenner. But it's not. The screw threads are really well done. The focusing mechanism feels very smooth. It actually seems like quite a nice bit of kit, so I think it's probably more down to the fact that I need to mount it on a tripod. I do have a couple. I'll try bringing some over in the next few weeks. But yeah, not bad for a first attempt, I suppose. When I was a kid, it always used to be the case that they said that don't pick the slows until the first frosts have blessed them. In other words, the frosts had frozen the flesh inside and caused the skins to split, because then it not only sweetened the slows up, but it meant that the colour and the flavours could come out into the gin. Well, now the first frosts have only just happened, and yeah, as you can see, they've well gone over. If I'd been out picking slows this year, which I didn't, I did it last year, and if you actually look back to my videos, you'll find a 3-part video on making slow gin. If I was collecting them this year, I would have collected them probably in around September, early October, long before the first frosts. Because that's how the seasons have changed in my lifetime. Little tiny red kite feather hanging on the tree. It's a foggy start to the day. The temperature is quite warm. It's 11-12 degrees, and everything's looking a little bit foggy, a little bit spooky, and a little bit folk horror-ish, which suits me. I'm very fond of a bit of folk horror. I mean, it was instilled into me very young, because my late father used to tell me all the stories of Cornish folklore, you know, about the mischievous little people and the wicked giants and the mermaids and the goblins and the various ghosts we had in Cornwall. And then, of course, there were all the different festivals we had in Cornwall, you know, where it was the Padstow Obios, or the Hallantow and Helston Flora Day, or the Montol Festival or Galawan in Penzance, or, you know, there were these festivals all over Cornwall, and the costumes were really quite bizarre and very, very dark sometimes. In fact, they even have a thing now at Tintagel every year called the Dark Gathering, which is particularly gothic. So yeah, it's kind of built into my DNA, and this sort of day is just lovely. And during December, I have a long-standing tradition of watching horror films, one a day leading up to Christmas. Usually folk horror if I can. I mean, I must admit I've started early this year, because I watched Pumpkinhead a couple of days ago and I watched Krampus last night. So I've got them all stacked up, and yeah, I will be thoroughly enjoying them. And on the subject of folk horror, you find me picking up lots of oak twigs that have fallen. All dead ones. I won't pick anything off the living tree. But these are all going to be part of a project for next year, which is a little bit folk horror-ish. That's all I'm going to say at the moment, but it's pretty good. What's up with you? We stood still too long. All I will say is that if you liked the Wheel of the Year calendar project, you're going to love next year's project. It's a bit darker, but I think you'll like it. The reason I'm using mostly oak for this new project is because A, it's British. You know, it's the quintessential British tree, but also it's beautifully gnarly. I mean, it's got all these like knobbles and joints and things like that. It looks quite fingery, doesn't it? If you know what I mean. It's got a nice creepy look to it. And the other thing is, where it snaps off the tree, you always get this little lump at the end, which is actually really useful as an anchor point for glue and things like that. So yeah, I love oak, and it's perfect for what I'm doing. There's a bumblebee out here. I mean, thankfully there's a little bit of pollen there, I think, so he's probably going to find something to eat, but blimey. Less than 2 weeks to Christmas and there's a bumblebee still flying around. Shows you how the seasons are buggered up, doesn't it? I did actually see a butterfly a couple of days ago. It was a little sort of meadow brown or some such species. And I thought to myself at the time, you know, we're getting these little mild snaps and then these little cold snaps, and the poor old insects have no idea what to do with it. Doesn't bode well for the future if the weather starts being even more unpredictable, does it? A couple of beefsteak fungus here, well gone over there, very hard and woody and no good for eating or anything like that. Are you going to really wee on every single tree? Oh yeah, there's red kites in the background. Now, I've not got a lot to report from the fields today, but I did go into London yesterday evening, and that was interesting. You see, I had an invite to go and visit a meeting of some London Druids, but they're a kind of splinter group from the main order of Druids, and I was interested to see what their viewpoint was. And I was meeting up with an old friend of mine, called Lara Greenway, who's a TV producer. She's worked on all sorts of films and TV over the years, and she's also got an interest in that sort of world. So yes, we had a trip into London. I met her at Baker Street Station, which I will show you in a second, and then we went on to the actual venue near London Bridge by the River Thames. So here's what happened. You now find me at Baker Street Station, and of course the most famous thing about Baker Street is it was the home of the fictional detective Sherlock Holmes. And I mentioned fictional because not very far from here, a short walk from here, is the Sherlock Holmes Museum, which people visit believing he was a real person. And just down here, there's a statue of him. That's Madame Tussauds, the big building in the background. Here, look, here is good old Sherlock, silhouetted against the night sky with his pipe and his deer stalker. He surely must be the only person in London who's got a museum and a statue and didn't exist. Surely. Okay, so we travelled from, so I'll just make sure I don't fall over in this mud. We travelled from Baker Street down to Southwark, quite near to London Bridge and the river, and then walked from there and caught an absolutely torrential rainstorm. It was the remains of whatever storm it is that's lashing Britain at the moment. And we turned up at this venue, which is kind of like a community centre where they teach all sorts of life skills. And very funny, very funny. Walked in the front door and there was a young lady on reception. And she looked at us and her very first words were, "Oh, hello, woodworking, plumbing or druidry?" That's quite an eclectic mix of skills, isn't it? So we said, "Oh, druidry, please." And we were pointed upstairs and we had this extraordinary meeting. I say extraordinary because this was a sort of branch of druidry that seemed to have completely different ideas to the more common ideas of druidry. I won't go into it all here, but it just goes to show that even within the non-religions, even within the sort of pagan belief systems, they still have little schisms and different ways of looking at things, which is, you know, quite healthy, as long as they don't start sort of lobbing bombs at each other or shooting each other. So yeah, it was a good meeting, and afterwards we were wandering around that area of London and we found a few anomalies. Like this little street where, well, to be honest, so many questions. I mean, there's a bollard stopping you going into the street, and the street's only about 100 feet long anyway. And even if you surpass the bollard, you can't park anywhere because you've got double yellow lines on each side of the road, which, if you're not aware, in the UK means no parking at any time. but the road is only about the width of a car. And then to top it all, there was a 20-mile-an-hour speed limit on the ground. And to be honest, I think unless you were in a jet fighter, you couldn't get up to 20 from a starting point behind that bollard if you tried. So that was weird. And we did have a really nice view of the Shard, you know, Britain's tallest building. I think Europe's tallest building still. That looked quite spectacular at night. So that was my evening. Now look at the sign, look at the sign. Behave yourself, Lara, behave yourself, yes. Now, back on the fields, enjoying my walk. And that's probably it for today. So, there I was, sitting at my desk marking some student essays, when suddenly the doorbell rang. And it was my good chum Mark Page with a box of calendars fresh from the printers. Let's get them out of the box.
Ooh, here we go. Hot off the press.
Man, look at this.
Shiny, shiny, shiny.
Yeah, let's have a look at the photos. We've never actually revealed them, have we? So
the cranes at Yule.
This is Yule, yeah. And this is Imbolc, which is the start of spring and new life emerging from the land, which is lovely. And here's Ostara, where we're getting into spring proper and everything's coming to life. Then we've got Beltane, May the 1st. We've got the Green Man, the Horn God there in the woods with the bluebells. Then we've got Midsummer at Litha with the Lady of the Flowers and her bouquet she's casting to the fires, the Midsummer fires. Then we've got Harvest, 1st of August, Lunasa. We've got our Harvest Goddess here in amongst the wild meadows. Then we've got Wassailing the trees, the apple trees at Mabon, which is the second orchard, the second harvest, the apple harvest. And then we've got Samhain, and have you noticed how these bits here are changing from dark to fade to light? This represents the dark half of the year and the light half of the year, you see. And each one of the calendars actually occupies the space that Samhain takes place in, or Lunasa takes place in. It's not fixed to the 12 calendar months that we're used to in calendars.
Just point out to people, like, as you say, Halloween actually runs from the 31st of October to the 20th of December.
The fact that you might have an actual...
It's not a January, February, March, April, like a normal Gregorian calendar.
Exactly, and the fact that you might have your celebration here on the 31st of October, which is now Halloween as well, your Sabbath, as it were, and celebrate everything. The point is you can still be celebrating on the 1st of November, you can still be celebrating on the 3rd, because you're in that season of Samhain now.
Lots of thanks on the back.
Lots of thanks, yeah.
People who made it happen.
Wow, it looks great.
Including two ex-mayors of Wickham.
Indeed, yes, I know. I mean, that's something in itself, isn't it? You ready?
I'm recording now. So
you are? Yeah. Right. So there you go, calendar's done. Well done, Mark. Great photographs, great project. And if you want a calendar, stay tuned and I'll tell you how. And you find me walking along through these dark alleyways. And I'm heading for a local primary school. Because this evening, I'm going to be Father Christmas at their winter fair. I do this every year. I think they only picked on me because I've got a white beard, but I don't mind doing it. It's lovely. And the little kiddies, honest to God, think I'm Father Christmas. It's hilarious. But sweet as well. And nice for them. I just realised you probably can't even see me, can you? Because there's no lighting in these alleyways at all. And it's already dark. Oh, hang on, we're coming up to the only light. So here I am, look, looming out of the darkness. Hello, I'm Father Christmas. Ho, 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 ho. Yes, I like this school because it's in the woods. I mean, that's the woods next to me here. You see all the trees, look, and that area just beyond there is the field where I walk Harris every day. It's a nice school, it's got some nice appointments and facilities, it's got its own swimming pool. And yeah, here we go. So, time to do some Santa-ing. Or, as I prefer, Father Christmas. Well, there you go. The transformation is extraordinary, isn't it? Ho, ho, ho. Right, I'm going to go visit my grotto now. Well, this is my grotto. It looks rather nice, doesn't it? Got a tree, I've got candles, got a fireplace, lots of presents. It's all rather nice. There's a letterbox in my grotto, and judging by the fact that's the belt at the bottom, they've decapitated him, pulled his arms and legs off, and were sticking letters into his chest. So there we go, another week of Miscellaneous Meanders complete, and I'll see you in the next video. In the meantime, be good, won't you, or you'll be on my naughty list. Ho, ho, ho. And Toodle pip. Bye. And don't forget that our Neo-Pagan Wheel of the Year calendar is now available to pre-order. UK residents simply scan the QR code. Overseas customers email us at copa.artist@gmail.com and we'll try and work out the cheapest way of posting it to you. Thanks very much. If you've enjoyed this video, then please consider subscribing. Or click on some of these links to look at some of the other videos on the channel. Or press the like button. Or leave a comment. It would be lovely to hear from you. Any combination of those 4 things would be wonderful. Thank you very much.